2 months went by, and honestly, the longer we went without hearing from her or about her was a bit unnerving. But about 3 months ago, when I got home, there was a large manila envelope in the mail. The address was handwritten, and the return address only said Sydney, Australia. The voided stamps were Aussie. I truly couldn't imagine who had sent the envelope or why. But inside was an extremely long letter from Mari explaining where she was and assuring me she wouldn't be coming back. I was stunned when I got the letter, considering the postmark from so far away, and who it was from. The things she said in the letter probably left me even more astounded by her evil hedonistic rationale that allowed her to sleep at night. Her maniacal manifesto filled in many of the gaps about what she'd endured and what led her there. She explained that she essentially had a nervous breakdown during her initial therapy session. Pretty much the first 2 months she was hospitalized, she was heavily sedated and on various antidepressant and antipsychotic medications. She said for the longest time when she got there, she just wanted to die. Via therapy and by going to group discussions, she talked through her issues in an attempt to understand why she did what she did. She said the other patients in the group discussions kept looking at her like she was a complete dumbass for throwing everything away. They'd come from broken homes, abusive relationships, backgrounds with substance abuse and violence. Her life had been as easy as pie compared to their life struggles. When it finally clicked in her warped little mind how badly she'd screwed up and that none of her old life was coming back, she had another breakdown. Her first breakdown was due to facing her past, the second due to facing her future, or lack thereof. She went on to explain her feelings of loss and heartache in some half-assed attempt for sympathy. Mari had the audacity to claim that the morning I caught her cheating, what upset her was knowing I instantly didn't love her anymore and never would again. She claimed over the years whenever she felt guilt for what she was doing, she rationalized it by telling herself I wouldn't love her if I knew what she was doing, and she wanted me to always love her. She was right. It instantly killed all love I ever had for her the moment I saw her naked with another man. She said to know I truly no longer loved her broke her heart, because despite all that she did, she still loved me. She swore just because she'd had sex with all those men didn't mean she ever loved me any less. I'd hate to know how she would have treated me if she'd hated my guts. She had the audacity to call me her best friend and soulmate. She had no desire to have any romantic connection with anyone but me. She said having men openly tell her they wanted to do nothing more than F her brains out and giving herself over to her primal instincts without a care in the world about consequences was such a rush. She confessed that after cheating a few times, Becca convinced her humans were never meant to be monogamous. She said she would have been more than willing to allow me to have sex with other women, but she knew I'd never want that. She said being able to hook up with some guy she met at the store and be home to make dinner made being just a mom and wife feel less hopeless and mundane. She tried to quantify that I somehow benefited from her having other soul partners because it taught her to be a better lover when she was with me. I would have far preferred a completely dead bedroom than being married to a wannabe sorority harlot with a tramp stamp of the word next and an arrow pointing down. And what kind of guy would stick his junk inside any woman that gave it up that easily? Those guys are just worthless harlot too. Next time go break one off instead of helping to break up a family. Call me old-fashioned. And I'm sure a lot of people that have read my story have called me that and far worse. But if you feel you need to explore your sexuality and be wild, that is your decision, you are completely entitled to do it. It seems today very few don't live their lives that way. But the time to explore and hook up is long before you have children. The time to do that is way before you marry. And it's sure as hell long before you reach the effing point of cheating on your husband with so many men, then give birth to some stranger's child and tell your husband he's the father. However, if by going out, being wild and exploring your sexuality turns you into someone or something only the most hard-up desperate man would ever consider making a commitment to, so be it. If at any point while we were dating Mari had told me she needed to break up so she could go get pipe laid by random plumbers she just met, I would have been totally fine with it. That would have told me she lacked the morality, loyalty, and trustworthiness I wanted in a wife. If she'd revealed who and what she was when we were dating, it all could have been avoided. I would not have cared one iota who or how many men she had sex with, as long as I wasn't one of them. She was either always unworthy of my time and love or became unworthy via her unforgivable filthy actions. But just as she can't uneff all those men, I can't go back in time and keep her out of my life. Words be damned. Her actions have proved she is unworthy of anyone's time and certainly not love. She will end up a last call lay at some dive bar down under, allowing anyone drunk enough to still find her attractive to get their rocks off for 15 minutes of companionship. She wrote how much it broke her heart to get the petition notice that I was having my name removed from Carrie's birth certificate. Mari said she understood I couldn't even stand to look at her anymore after what she'd done, and our daughter was just a reminder of that. She claimed what hurt her even more was when she got my petition to adopt Carrie as my daughter. Because it showed her even though I could never give her a second chance, I had enough love in my heart to give a second chance to the very product of her infidelity. She said she struggled with feelings of being jealous of her Carrie. Knowing her kids would grow up receiving all the amenities she took for granted killed her. Frankly, her words spoke volumes about how truly self-centered truly is. She couldn't think of me and put me first. She couldn't even do that with her own children. Yet she hated knowing huge moments of her kids' lives would happen without her around to see them. She imagined pictures shared on social media reminding her of what she was missing and feeling like she'd been stabbed through the heart. She explained that when she was released after the events at the school that day, she went around that night trying to reconnect with old friends. The few people that would speak to her were very direct in what they thought of her and that they wanted nothing to do with her. Most acted as if they didn't know her and just ignored her. A few warned her if they ever found out she'd been with their husband or boyfriend, God help her. But she realized her hometown had been poisoned by her. Her former boss and many coworkers knew, so there was no going back to her job. The other driver's auto insurance had given her a decent check each month to live on until she was locked away. She had to stop going to physical therapy, and the insurance company considered the matter of the accident and her injuries a closed case. She had no money. Getting a job close enough to potentially see the kids wasn't happening quickly, and she had to survive on her own. She pawned a few items to get by while she looked for jobs online, and that's when she said she met some guy from Australia online. It seems they chatted back and forth over the course of a few days, and he invited her for a visit. She'd already been seriously thinking of cashing in her 401k, but was scared about paying the huge tax penalty at the end of the year. The invite to Australia was all it took for her to cash in the only chip she had. She said he's a really nice guy and has a son that needs a mom. Poor kid is getting Joan Crawford for a mom. And he's getting Amber Heard for his wife. It's safe to say he has no idea what she's done and what she's capable of. She's his problem now. She'll become an Australian citizen, won't have to pay the IRS, and she will never be my problem again. It was the last contact she made and will hopefully be the final contact she ever makes with me again, fingers crossed. Part of me thinks she heard Australia was founded as a penal colony and thought they said penile. But if it keeps that crazy hooker down under and out of my hair, she can do whatever she wants. I hate to be so flippant. Because I do sympathize with the citizens of Australia, as yet another venomous species becomes endemic to their ecosystem. But these are the ignominies you have to face as a people for mocking planetary gravity generation after generation. Yes, I'm giddy that she's gone, and I have every right to be. But Australia, sincerely, thoughts and prayers. You all may want to get some of those guns back. Between providing antipsychotic medication and treating STDs, she may bankrupt your entire socialized medical system. Obviously, I hope she stays away. But a potential arrest upon return for tax evasion with the punishment being time served in federal prison will hopefully seal the deal. My therapist has helped me quite a bit, especially dealing with anger, though I'm sure no one reading this could tell. My therapist and I came to an epiphany during one heated session. For the longest time I was far angrier at myself than I was angry at Mari. People talk about forgiveness and how it sets a person free. I had so much anger built up inside I just assumed 100% of it was directed toward Mari. Nope. It turns out despite her flaws and missteps I held myself to a higher ethical standard. I was beating myself up with self-loathing because I couldn't believe I'd chosen so poorly. Yes, Mari was the deceitful lying harlot, but at the end of the day I chose that harlot and effed my own life up. I can say without a doubt I would be much better off having never loved Mari, and that Lord Alfred Tennyson was a effing idiot. Lots of people asked about Rebecca. I found out that after Mari was kicked out of her parents' house, she did in fact go to Rebecca's. Apparently, my ex thought Becca owed her a place to stay at the very least after contributing to our marriage failing. Rebecca seemed to feel like all she had done was to enable Mari to do what she actually wanted to do and didn't owe her a damn thing. It's an interesting debate topic, one which apparently got heated. I have no idea who won, but that friendship ended with a lot of hair-pulling, profanity, and punching. Either way, word got out Rebecca had been involved in destroying my marriage and things got rough for her. I don't use any social media. No, I don't consider Reddit social media. But I'm told she was unfollowed, unfriended, and harassed online. In real life, 2 stylists quit her salon due to what she'd done. The ones that remained all had customers asking how they could still work there or if they'd change salons too. It took a month or 2 until she couldn't pay the lease and had to close up shop. The last anyone heard, Rebecca was working at her brother's restaurant in Connecticut as a hostess. When she left town, I wanted to have her condo bulldozed like Forrest Gump did to Jenny's childhood home due to all the heinous sex acts that occurred there. But the neighbors in the other 2 units weren't too keen on that idea. Quite a few people insinuated in comments that there was chemistry or something going on with my lawyer Nadia and me. I thought they'd been doing meth. Turns out, I am as oblivious as always when a woman is interested. After the divorce had been finalized, since she wasn't representing me in the civil suit that never happened, I went for drinks with her and several others in the practice to celebrate. As others left one by one, she said she had to talk to me about one more matter before I left. I assumed she was going to ask for a good review on the practice's website or something. She surprised me by telling me after working on my case she truly appreciated how loyal and dedicated I had been to my wife and still am to my kids. She admitted over the course of the divorce she'd grown attracted to me but couldn't say anything as she had been my lawyer. She confessed I was very hard to read and she couldn't tell if I had any attraction toward her at all. But she knew a good man when she saw one and she was going to shoot her shot. It was flattering to hear, especially after you've learned you weren't enough for your wife not to cheat with enough men to field 5 football teams. And Nadia even told me long before I gave her a well-deserved huge bonus check. So as distrusting as I am, I think she was being sincere in what she said. She just told me if I ever wanted to go out and have a drink or talk to give her a call. Nadia is a beautiful woman. I don't think any guys could refute that except for the visually impaired ones. She's brilliant, genuinely talented, she has her SHT together. It's pretty obvious she goes to a gym quite frequently, lawyers like to look good in the courtroom. And she dresses classy SXY, which the gentleman in me appreciates. At one hearing when she came into court in a pinstripe suit, I'm fairly certain the judge would have granted me custody of his kids after he saw her. Even as jaded as I am, I have to admit she would be a fantastic catch for any guy she chose to date. But for me, that, or any other juice, is just not worth the squeeze. I already know I would subconsciously judge her for her past, which she certainly does not deserve and could do nothing about. And unfortunately, any women I felt an inkling of interest in would be subject to that same unfair judgment. I had plenty of dudes message and urge me to go on a dating app and hook up with some random, just to get past the fact Mari is still the only woman I've been with. Sorry to the guys that will be disappointed to hear, but I could never do that. A friend showed me the local Tinder prospects. I will not be downloading the app. If I had any desire to get banging my second bedpost notch out of the way, as one message suggested, I would have gone the Nadia route. It pisses me off knowing Mari took something I used to really enjoy and removed that activity from my life forever. Now just thinking back to our past moments of intimacy make my skin crawl knowing she was doing those very same things and far more debased with many other men. In the eyes of most people in Western society today, the fact I've only been with one woman would either make me a prude or hard up. Yet I feel as filthy as a Victorian-era London streetwalker just due to the knowledge I've had sex with Mari. She took everything that made sex special to me and made it impossible for me to experience it again. Our exclusivity, our vows, and union were pissed away so she could experience sucking a random junk that didn't belong to her husband. And then she lied. Oh my God, did she lie? Because she lied. For the longest time I think back to any positive thing she ever said about me and believe it to be a lie too, just because she said it. She made me doubt my sanity, my parenting, my strength, and my worth. I don't want to ever go back to that. I won't go back to that. I have no one and yet I'm still living. That proves there isn't a woman out there I can't live without. I'm already doing it. I have no hate for women at all and want the best for them because Carrie too will be a woman someday. But there is absolutely nothing any woman on this planet has that would enrich my life in the least, only complicate it. If there aren't some women who feel that way about men, there should be. Human beings, both male and female, are a scourge upon each other. Not worth the time and energy, and not to be trusted. Many people asked questions pertaining to finding Carrie's biological father. I have done quite a bit of research into DNA ancestry sites. My biggest issue is that if there is an existing match, the companies also alert the other person. If Carrie took a test which revealed a cousin, an uncle, or even her dad, I'm her protector, I don't want anyone to come looking. She's a healthy child with no apparent genetic defects, so I'm going to wait quite a while to do any testing. My mindset as of this day is to wait at the very least until her mid to late teens. But I could envision waiting until her 20s to let her make the decision. Honestly, I've also considered never telling her I'm not her father. Truly, if there is any advice I could still use from Reddit, it would be questioning at the end of the day what would truly be best for Carrie. Do you think never telling her now after all that has happened would be a good or bad thing? Should I wait until she is a teen or an adult at 18 to tell her and begin the search? I'm not worried about me, I already know the truth. I'm trying to prepare for any future scenarios, both good and bad. How likely is it she will have some medical condition she will need to know her paternal medical history? Please know, any DNA genealogy testing will likely happen several years down the road at the earliest. With her mom out of her life so recently, I don't want to do something that could make her feel less secure, safe, and confident in her own identity. In mine. It's odd to be in the situation I am, and to sincerely hope both kids took after their fathers. In closing, I want to thank Reddit user Kranik in particular for the advice given to me through my ordeal. You probably aren't 187 years old, but even if you are wise far beyond your years. You were able to analyze my ex and predict angles I was leaving open for her to attack. And when you said she was desperate, I believed you, but damn. In the end, Mari literally effed around and found out. Thank you for assisting me in every way to help her find out. To the many others who pointed me in the right direction or sent me an encouraging message, I thank each of you. My plan is to post this, wait half a day and maybe respond to a few comments over a period of a few days. Then my story will officially be done. I rarely even think about Mari anymore because I stay so busy in my new life without her. So, I don't want to dwell on what has happened for more than a couple of days. My kids are my world and I actually love my job, which keeps me busy. The pay is just a bonus for being allowed to do something I enjoy. To any Australians who read this, I hope I didn't offend in any manner. That was not my intent in the least. I hate being the bearer of bad news for your nation as a whole. You guys didn't deserve this any more than I did. Just remember, if she gets drunk wearing a skirt with no underwear and does a split in one of your bars one night, gently rock her back and forth to break the suction and she'll pop right up. To all those who took the time to read, I thank you and wish you a good day or night. To those who didn't, I will try to keep this short, but I had a session with my therapist today at lunch. I'd sent her the post to read what I wrote and all the comments. She absolutely loved you people for nudging me towards something with Nadia. She urged me to take it slowly but be honest with her and myself. So, when I got out of my session, I called Nadia and asked if I could drop by to get her expert opinion about a few things. After dropping the kids off at their grandparents', I stopped by the firm to talk to her. Again, I have no game because I never had to develop one. I don't know how to flirt. I'm just me. All I have is kindness, humor, and sincerity. When she realized I had no legal issues I needed to talk about, she got a wry grin on her face. I told her I'd been doing a lot of thinking and talking with friends since she and I talked. I told her I am 100% scared as hell to open up and give her a chance. But I'm also 100% sure I need to man up since she was woman enough to shoot her shot. I also said I couldn't envision how things would work out because of our differences. When she inquired which differences, I mentioned the kids and that she has none. She said she has enjoyed meeting my kids and asked if I had issues with her not being a mom yet, which I didn't. I said I had a little concern about her being so petite and me so tall that I might accidentally hurt her being clumsy or something. She promised me she was pretty tough and said big things come in small packages. I was nervous and replied that I wasn't wanting to have sex just yet but appreciated the offer. She blushed and laughed really hard. At least she gets my warped humor. Long story short, we both have Friday and Monday off due to the holiday weekend. So, Thursday night I will drive us for dinner at a nice restaurant, then we'll go to a fantastic martini bar I know of. It's a first step, and while I am nervous, I do feel very comfortable talking to her and being around her. We're going to take things slowly. But I can't do this with an audience, so this will be my last post, reply or comment. If things work out, that's great. If not, I can live with that too. I just don't want to feel I'm letting anyone down if things don't work out in any way. So, I hope you all understand. I really do thank you all for helping me get through the hell my life became and being in my corner. May you all know love, success, and most of all peace for helping a stranger online pick up the pieces of his broken life. Bless you all. Reader comment, I am truly happy how everything has turned out for you. You are a good guy and on a good path as well. Since I bombarded you with advice all the time, I will also give you 2 more pieces of advice now. First, Carrie. You know firsthand what lies can cause. Don't lie to her, also not by omission. Talk to a family therapist, tell them about the situation and that you want Carrie to know the truth. This truth includes that you love her, which should be the most important point when you bring anything up. Then make a plan with the therapist and also make Michael a part of the process. They both need to become an unbreakable unit. But from all you wrote, I have no worries about that. But take some time with that. She has gone through enough in the last year. Allow things to calm down a little first. Second, you. Stay true to yourself. That is the only thing I can tell you. You got your heart at the right spot and values that others can look up to. No matter what happens, be strong in your beliefs and always stay true to yourself. I wish you all the best on your way forward, my friend. Original poster, fantastic to hear from you, and yet again you offer sage advice. Most of my concern with telling Carrie I'm not her biodad stems from growing up with several people who were adopted. So often when there was any friction in their lives, they would state they want to find their real mom-dad. Their real parents wouldn't treat them that way. Their real parents would let them do whatever. Knowing they were adopted made them appreciate what they did have less and take on the grass must be greener on the bio side mindset. Finding and even letting her get to know her bio dad doesn't scare me. Finding a bio dad who is a POS that she views through rose-colored lenses does. But that will be down the road for a year or 2. I see no reason right now to complicate her life, especially since she's still just in elementary school. Being true to myself involves being honest with myself in all ways. The integrity instilled in me is essentially part of who I am now. So, I try to be true, genuine, and fair with everyone I encounter. Sometimes that isn't easy because people don't make it easy. But at the end of the day, I have to be true to myself, because Mari proved in this world you cannot depend on a single soul to be true to you when all is said and done. Life has proven that much to me. But I appreciate the encouragement and shared wisdom more than you will ever know. A lot of people on this site owe you for the guidance and kindness you share. I for one want to extend a huge thank you. You make this site so much better, which results in making the world a little better. Thank you again, my friend. Reader comment, so, nothing with Nadia? That is the only sad thing about this update. And definitely tell Carrie, she deserves to know, and it's better be from your mouth than anyone else. Make sure to tell your children the whole truth when they grow a bit older, they will need to know. Good luck moving forward. I hope you recover your mental health enough that you can date again. You deserve love and the pleasure it brings, and the kids would love to have a good and exemplary mother figure in their lives. Who knows, maybe Nadia waits a bit or some other good woman. Original poster, wow. So, I take it most everyone thinks I should at least make an attempt to develop a friendship with Nadia and see where it leads. Just from the responses to your comment, I don't think I need to take an official poll or anything. Here's my thing. That newness of someone else that so many people yearn for would cause me nothing but a panic attack. Butterflies, tingles, whatever you want to call them. That is not a pleasant feeling for me. In fact, it makes me want to vomit, and it affects my nerves so badly. Like, I don't know how to flirt. I don't know when I'm being flirted with, and if I did, I wouldn't know how to flirt back. I'm obviously rather blunt. Hence, innuendo, body language, I can't read any of that. I mean, like even watching a movie where flirting occurs, it doesn't register in my mind as flirting. To me, it just seems like the two characters are just being friendly. I'm usually even a tad shocked the two characters end up in bed or a relationship, because I don't see it coming. I'm friendly with most people, most of the time, but I'm certainly not flirting. Let's just be blunt, I have no game because I never had to develop any of that. I'm honest to a fault, and I've learned that doesn't go over well with a lot of people. The mind games, SHT tests, attempted manipulation, I don't want to deal with any of that SHT. And while I don't know for certain, women like Nadia constantly have dozens or more men trying to get with them. Single women interact with several suitors at once most of the time who compete for their time, attention, or whatever. I don't compete. My philosophy is, if she thinks she can do better, take your ass on. Second chances aren't a thing with me. Conversely, I know thinking anyone is going to push all the others aside and see if there is something between us without outside influences isn't going to happen. Not in this world, not at this point in history. I do not want to be a part of the dating scene. If it makes me an a-hole, so be it. But if any of those people was worth knowing or being in a relationship with, they wouldn't be single and on a dating app. Those are the rejects nobody would commit to, or the male and female harlots that could never commit to anyone because of their free-range genitals that need to roam. I would absolutely love to have Nadia as a FWOB, but it's fairly safe to say a beautiful adult woman is going to want some benefits eventually. No woman in her early 30s is looking for companionship. And that's all I could handle right now. She has a badass Jaguar F-Type I would love to drive. But most women are looking for a guy who wants to get inside their pants, not their car. But at the end of the day, it is something I need to consider. I will ponder things over. I will meet with my therapist Tuesday and will discuss things with her. I make no promises except for the promise I will take the consensus advice into consideration. Reader comment, I'm not in any way wanting to pressure anything. If that is how it's coming to you, I apologize. I just feel it's tragic you are giving up a part of yourself and searching for happiness and companionship because of the traumas your ex caused you. It feels like Mary won, at least in this respect. Are you going to let yourself live as a slave to this torment? As you say, maybe Nadia could have any other men, but she is choosing and wanting you, just like any other beautiful and single women could make the same choice. You are deserving of love, respect, and devotion. Just like they are. Again, no pressure, just hoping you can reflect from a neutral point of view instead of a traumatized one, so that you can slowly start seeing things you are unable right now because of the pain and trauma. If you really want to fully heal, you will have to leave the current comfort zone and start working towards it. I'm saying this out of personal experience. Hugs and love to you, man. Sincerely wishing for your recovery. Original poster, you couldn't pressure me if you tried and it wasn't taken that way, so no worries. You and the others who backed you up gave me much to consider, that's all. Truth be told, I don't know what to make of myself honestly. Like I'm a red-blooded male. I noticed Nadia's beauty the moment we met. Yes, more than once I checked her ass out in court, discreetly. Absolutely beautiful eyes, and I'm jealous of her hair. And then Nadia is like 5 feet tall and petite. I'm well over 6, and when I do ponder things, I can't envision how things would work. Like she always wears heels, but her holding my hand while walking together would almost be like holding a toddler's hand crossing the street. She's effing adorable and beautiful. I do not understand the female obsession with 6-foot-plus guys. The vast majority couldn't tell the difference between 5 feet 8 inches and 6 unless they had something to compare it to. It was very flattering to hear the things she had to say. And since she has her own money, I don't think she is trying to do the gold digger thing. It's just so damn hard to trust man. Sure, the odds of me finding another psycho comparable to Mari are slim. But I'm snake bit to the point it feels like I'm living in a world of snakes. My next therapy session is Tuesday. I've let my shrink read the previous posts. I will let her read this one as well before our session. The comments and my responses have helped her help me tremendously. I will talk things over with her and give her advice. But I have a strong suspicion she will have the same perspective you guys do. Reader comment, OP. I have read your story and believe you made all the right proper moves. And continue to make the right moves about your daughter. I agree to wait until she is older to discuss her paternity and let her make the decision as to how she wants to proceed. Keep being in her corner, which I know you will. I do believe you still need therapy in regard to your feelings around relationships. Not everyone out there is Amari. My first wife cheated on me for almost 10 years. I found out and stayed and did not touch or kiss her from that point on. When I finally pulled the trigger to divorce, I swore I would never get married or even try to be intimate with someone ever. But life sometimes throws you more curveballs, and I met my current wife 1.5 years later. The point is you have a person that sees your baggage and your issues. Go have that drink and talk as friends. Maybe with therapy and consistent contact, you might be able to get past your issues of a person's past. Good luck in the future. Original poster, oh, I have baggage now. I have enough to overload a 747, and it sucks. I just have so much to work through and learn about myself. For example, I am a huge personal space kind of person. Playing sports, fighting, etc., I'm okay with them because they are acts of aggression and I know my role. I don't like people I don't know even brushing up against me. And hugging someone I barely know would ick me out like having to hug that great aunt who always smells like cabbage and pearages. Humans really are some nasty creatures in regard to hygiene, germs, bacteria, mites. 2 of my buddies took me to a strip club last month since I'd never been to one. Wow, that was a bad idea. I was actually handing dancers $20 bills to walk away. My friends tried over and over to get me to get a lap dance. Oh, hell the EFF no. I'd see a dancer rub all over some schmuck who looked like he bathed quarterly, then come up to me inquiring if I'd like some of his secondhand BO. Absolutely no judgment on any of the dancers, I don't know how they do it. My friends had a fantastic time. Whereas I wanted to go buy some fantastic and start wiping the human scuzz off of all the surfaces in the club. I just want to say what you did by staying for your kids took much more fortitude than what I went through. That was truly a sacrifice I don't think I could have made. You and I both know your kids will always appreciate what you did for them. And I am truly happy you found someone new. I just don't think that's in the cards for me, and that's okay. Thanks for the reply, your words meant a lot. Reader comment, I have often wondered and worried about you, mate. I am glad you got a chance to update. What an update too. Mari did essentially all she could do. Her own terrible choices and your resistance to allowing her free reign, and her family and friends not humoring her whoring lead her there. She has herself to blame entirely. You do not get to be the bad guy or the stupid guy here. If you had have taken her back or believed her BS, or tried to reconcile, you would deserve to be called a lot of uncharitable names. You didn't. You took on everything as a man and in a subreddit full on the biggest pick-me, reconciling, begging simps. You are not one of them. You do not get to be the idiot or the fool in this story. I will be honest with you. I have read a couple of stories on here where I was seriously worried about how much the guy on the receiving end of the infidelity trainwreck could endure. You are obviously mentally as tough as nails. But I worry about you, mate. Now things are such that the divorce is over, the crazy one is in Sydney, and it sounds like things have settled down, maybe time to have a therapist of your own. You have a hell of a lot of misplaced self-loathing and well-placed anger. Do not stew on it. It was good to hold on to focus you through the hard times of the discovery and through the divorce and such, but now you have to be able to work through and let it dissipate. I really respect you and how you handled everything. My advice is to allow yourself to be normal. To not be a sum of the bad relationship. Take Nadia out and take it nice and slow. Allow yourself to be a human. We are not islands. It does not have to be anything hot and heavy and serious, but take it nice and easy. Find out about her and flirt, laugh, and be a part of someone else's life. She is not Mari and will not transform into Mari. Mari. 3 hours away. Bloody hell. Original poster, I've never been to Australia, so I don't know how Sydney is laid out, but I would imagine she resides in one of the suburbs outside Sydney if I had to guess. She didn't include postcards of Adelaide or Brisbane, so maybe their citizens can remain safe. I know I have a lot to work on in therapy. And I'll probably be seeing a shrink the rest of my life working through things. You sound like my mom and dad urging me to date Nadia. But she has plenty of options, and probably better ones. My dad told me in private she reminds him of a particular porn star who I had to Google to know who he was talking about. There is a strong resemblance all the way down to her height. She's of Hungarian descent, and having been to Hungary, I can vouch for the fact they have a ton of beautiful women. I would enjoy being friends with her with no expectations for more. But if she has the hope for there to be an us one day, that's a lot of pressure to live under. I've been keeping any and all single women at a distance so not to give any of them an opening into my life. The only time I feel lonely is at night when I go to bed. But as soon as I'm asleep, that vanishes. Her firm is on retainer from now until the day she retires, so she won't be out of my life for decades most likely. I just don't think I can ever trust again to open myself up like that again. C.S. Lavi. Reader comment, champ. Please don't delete this though. This series is mostly a terrific example of how one should handle a cheater. Yes, you have some means, and not everyone will have that. But most of the things you handled on ways many should aspire to. But also, just as important, the lapses in judgment, the emotional roller coaster, your thought process that had you think one way or the other. Kind of important for others to see too. It's a SHT tie time. Those who have been through it know very well. Original poster, I won't. It can just exist, and I won't feel the need to revisit it after a few days. I will always be on Reddit with my main account. I just won't use this one again after a few days. I know I can be cruel, and when I am, it's intentional. The rest of the time, I'm the type of person that will go out of my way to give someone a reason to smile when they are down. Thanks for reading and taking the time to comment. It is appreciated. Reader comment, followed your story from when you first posted, and it has been one hell of a roller coaster ride. You were casted in a Twilight Zone episode unbeknownst to you, but thank God the director finally yelled cut. I can totally understand the jaded way you feel towards having anything to do with being in a relationship now, and it really sucks life out of you. No pun intended. All I can tell you is to continue to love the kids, especially Carrie, and take it one day at a time. P.S. Even though you may want to be alone by choice now, don't let Nadia out of your sight, because you may never know what could be. Life is too short. Original poster, excellent analogy. I guess for me it's like living through a disaster and trying to grasp why I would get involved in another potential disaster. Like surviving a plane crash for me is the universe telling you your ass should stay out of airplanes. I wonder how many people that survived the Titanic sinking went on another cruise. Life is too short. But it can also be shortened even further, expecting different results from engaging in the same activity. Thank you for your encouragement. It is appreciated. Reader comment, poor Australian guy, he doesn't have the slightest idea where he's put his foot into. Original poster, it does make me wonder what she has told the guy. I think it's safe to say the whole truth wasn't what he heard. I've also imagined the friends she will make and how they will have no inkling what she's done. She truly did need to start over somewhere new. Knowing I won't be bumping into her or having to deal with her in any way is a relief. I think she probably will be a good mom. She never mistreated our kids despite all she did to me. I just can't help but find irony in the fact she will now be raising a kid she shares no DNA with. But at least she knows from the start. Reader comment, I have to correct you, USA takes taxes from you regardless of where in the world you live, so the IRS is still gonna hound her for back taxes if needed. Original poster, will they be extradited? Can they put liens on paychecks in Australia? I'm not even saying how much was in her 401k. I insisted she deposit the maximum amount allowed by law on each check. It was not a small amount. Would they actually send agents all the way there to arrest her and bring her back? I'd love a standing warrant waiting on her if she ever chose to return. But I don't want her back in the continental US. Either way, it's her F up to deal with. And I won't be paying off a penny of what she owes the feds. Reader comment, I've read so many posts on these subs, and there really is never a set way to handle things. Most of the victims that have all the power after a divorce still always took care of their wives in some way. And I always felt they didn't deserve it. That the posters for those stories need to live their own life. And this story is finally one where the cheating ex, who could never fully take responsibility, lost absolutely everything. She had no home, was disowned, lost her kids, no job, and no money. And continued with her harlot ways of life and hopped on a dick to get a place to stay. Yet, I'm not as happy as I thought I'd be. Until this moment, I realized that while I read these subs because the cheating, I want all traces of the cheating at the end to be gone. Men tend to punish themselves and the way they live after a deep betrayal like this, and while others were more forgiving to their WS, in this story even with the WS losing everything, I don't feel OP truly won yet. The cheater is out of your life, but not the damage she did. Now for years you will live your life according to the pain she caused while she gets a completely fresh start. I'm rooting for you, OP, and I'm not saying to get to dating, I'm just saying don't block yourself off from smiling again. Also, I suggest mentioning to your daughter about her situation at 15. They'll always ask what happened to their mom, and when you tell the story it should be sooner than later. You don't want them looking for their mom without knowing the story. Original poster, my grandfather, my biological mother's dad, was a no-nonsense kind of man. Stern but loving and very wise. He often told me losing his daughter was the hardest thing he had to live through. But he thanked the powers that be she had me before she died, because it allowed part of her to live on in me. Only a fool tries to pet the dog that just bit him again. When someone shows you who and what they are, believe them and act accordingly. No one ever truly learned a life lesson by being given a second chance. It is the punishment and denial of another opportunity that teaches them the error of their ways. Those were just 3 of the many adages he taught me as a kid. Perhaps it's just me, but I cannot grasp why anyone, male or female, would even entertain the thought of a second chance after cheating. To simplify my mindset, marriage is essentially hiring a wife or a husband for life. You hire each other to fill a role for life. Infidelity is a glowing neon sign that tells the other person you no longer want that job anymore. The only sane thing to do when a spouse cheats is fire them from their position. Mari knew the day she said I do that if we ever split, she'd be fired, she'd get no unemployment benefits, and there wouldn't be a golden parachute waiting for her like these CEO suckers leading failed corporations. I don't play games. And compassion dies even faster than the love when someone betrays me. I don't think Mari won, but I sure as hell didn't win either. You are right. I'd be surprised if the guy she is with is as financially secure as me, and he doesn't have custody of her kids. She didn't win. But she took from me my ability to trust and made everyone I encounter someone I don't want to know. So, I didn't win either. I don't think anyone wins in a divorce, except lawyers. But you're right. I need to leave the door cracked and not completely shut the world out. Because despite the B-word and bastards that infest this planet, there are a few decent people still worth knowing. And 15 is the age I was thinking when I posted, but I wanted to get insight from others. I thank you for your comments and encouragement. Success, happiness, and peace be upon you. Reader comment, I will say, just to be honest and not a complete hypocrite. I had a rough go in my marriage and was too busy fighting for re-establishing myself and parental rights, and later I got custody of my daughter, so I did not want a slew of strange women around her. My daughter a few years ago asked if I was going to remarry. I told her I was too busy looking after her. She then asked what about when she leaves home. I told her I would be too busy saving for retirement. She then asked what about after I retired. I asked why on earth I would marry then. The point behind this is all these reasons make sense. They in their own right make sense. You know what I did not address? I did not want even a taste of what I went through previously, and if I could forever avoid having my heart ripped out with a spoon and my bank account shredded, I was going to do what I could to avoid it. I have done that. Cordial and superficial relationships with women and never let them close these last 20 years or so. Not only can it be done, I did it, but I have starved myself of much in doing so. I have some regrets. I would not encourage you to similarly isolate as I have. Original poster, well, I appreciate your incitement. It gives me something to think about. I hate regrets, of which now I have many. I guess the question is, do I focus on moving past those regrets, or do I go out and risk making many, many more? I have much to ponder. Reader comment, I read all your posts in one sitting. Holy cow, that was one hell of a painful journey. I'm glad you made this final update. I can't fathom what you've been through. On the topic of your daughter, I think you'll need to arm her and your son with pertinent information for when they begin using social media. Because, as a kid of problematic parentage, I can say with near certainty that curiosity and lingering trauma from their mother's abrupt vanishing will lead them to seek her out. And it will happen far earlier than you'd expect. Wishing you and your family the absolute best. Original poster, then you really need to stand up and walk around for God's sake. I'm sorry you had to read all of that, but it is appreciated more than you know. OMG, social media. Michael is now 11 and Carrie is 7. I am so not ready for that, but you are so right that I need to prepare. Some of both their friends already have smartphones. I've actually considered it for in case of emergencies. I'm still just enjoying looking over and seeing their faces instead of the tops of their heads because their face is buried in a phone. They know Mari lives in another country and can't drive to see them. But for now, they have no online presence. I need to prepare for when they do. You are correct. but I am so not looking forward to that. Many thanks. Reader comment, I am so wrecked for you. I started at the beginning, and being a slow reader, it took me a while to get through it, but finish it I did. I cried, I laughed, I was so proud of you and covered my eyes in some places. Mari deserves no more of your brain. She was unworthy to begin with, and I'm glad that she lives continents away. Carrie is a very lucky little girl, and she will one day know that you fought for her during one of the darkest moments of your life. I agree that doing DNA when she is much older would be the way to go. Telling her about her parentage definitely feels like a professional avenue and not anything I would suggest tackling on your own. I know the number one thing you want is to limit damage done to your children and remain the safe place for them through all of the storms they will weather is the only way through it. You are choosing them over and over is really the best thing for them. I'm not surprised you don't want to date, I would feel the same way. I'm also someone who doesn't like people touching them, and I've never understood how people are able to be with people casually while dating. I was lucky and met my husband through a friend of a friend. The friend is his sister, so I knew he was a nice guy. He lived in another state, and we did long distance by writing emails and letters and talking on the phone. Maybe in a few years there could be a way to connect again if that urge ever arises. I wish you all the best going forward. I'm just so glad to hear that Mari is gone and out of your lives. Original poster, someone will read this reply and think I am the most loathsome human that has ever lived. But around the world cities are building subways, monorails, and other forms of mass transportation. It isn't that I think I am too good to ride PT, but the idea of taking a train home from work and some homeless fenthead who hasn't bathed in a year sitting next to me would be revolting. Like a whole train of cats, dogs, or ferrets would be awesome. One full of humans, not so much. Especially crammed together like sardines. And I'm with you. How people just meet, strip down and bump uglies is beyond my understanding. That's how cats and dogs act. And well over 90% of the women I have seen in my life I would not want to see naked ever. And 100% of the dudes. What the hell happened to getting to know each other first? If I met the most beautiful woman on earth and she was a complete bitch, why would I want to have sex with such a vile shrew? Horrible on the inside negates any beauty on the outside. I'm glad you and your husband met, got to know each other, and built a life together. I am happy for you, and I wish you both a lifetime of love and happiness together. Thank you.